Imagine this. You've just got back from a really long journey, maybe a big road trip or perhaps a tough hike somewhere remote. What's the first thing you usually talk about when you finally get a chance to sit down and relax? It's often the practical stuff, right? The mundane details, the roads you took, what the terrain was like. Was it smooth going or maybe rocky or really muddy? Well, today we're doing a deep dive way back in time. We're going to Sarathi in ancient India, and we find a group of 500 monks there. They've just come back from traveling through the countryside with the Buddha himself, and guess what they're doing? Exactly that, discussing the literal ground they walked over.
That's right. And our mission today is really to unpack a key moment from this ancient story. It's sometimes called the story of the 500 monks who were absorbed in earth talk. You see, these monks, they were really focused on the physical dirt under their feet. But we're going to see how just one quite profound observation from the Buddha can completely shift our perspective. Moving from the external world right into our inner landscape, it really redefines what conquering something or gaining deep knowledge actually means. Get ready for, well, maybe a few aha moments along the way.
Okay, so let's set the scene properly. The Buddha, who's often called the Sutta, the teacher, he's staying in Savatthi at a really famous monastery, Jidavana. And these 500 monks, they've just finished this journey with him through the countryside. So picture this. It's evening. They're gathered together in the assembly hall. And our source, the text, tells us they were deep in what it calls earth talk. That's Paṭhavīkathāpasutapañcasatabhikkhuvatthu. They were describing like every detail of the ground they'd covered. Was it smooth, uneven, muddy, stony? What kind of soil, black or red?
Yeah.
The text specifically calls this outer earth. It's very, very relatable, isn't it? Recounting the physical trip.
Oh, absolutely. We all do it after a holiday or a long drive, don't we? Compare notes on the roads, the landscape. But here's where the story takes a really profound turn. The Buddha enters the hall. He asks them, what are you all discussing? And when he hears it's this earth talk, he makes a statement. And it just changes everything. It steers them completely away from the tangible stuff towards something much, much deeper.
And what does he say? The text quotes him directly here. He says, "Bhikkhus, this is called outer earth. You should cultivate the inner earth."
Wow. That's quite a pivot, isn't it? Just imagine being totally absorbed in those physical details, the mud, the stones, and then you're told, no, what you should be working on, what you should be cultivating is this mysterious inner earth. It's more than just changing the subject. It's like a fundamental reorientation of focus. And it immediately begs the question for them and for us, what is this inner earth and how on earth do you cultivate that?
Right. And the Buddha, thankfully, doesn't just leave them hanging there with that question. He immediately follows up by reciting two key verses.
Yeah.
These are called gathas. And these verses really lay out the deeper meaning of what he's just said. Okay, so the first verse, it poses the central question. It goes, "Who will conquer this earth and this realm of Yama, along with the devas? Who, like a skillful flower picker, will gather the well-taught Dhammapada?"
And then comes the answer in the second verse, and it's quite specific, pointing to a certain kind of person. It says, "A sekha will conquer this earth and this realm of Yama, along with the devas. A sekha, like a skillful flower picker, will gather the well-taught Dhammapada."
Okay, wow. That's dense. There's a lot packed in there. We definitely need to unpack these verses. The key seems to be in understanding these terms. So when the Buddha asks, who will conquer this earth, what does that mean now? Is it still about the physical ground?
Well, that's the first big shift in understanding. Our source is very clear here. This earth, it's not the physical ground the monks were mapping out in their conversation. Not at all. Instead, it refers to this body, or perhaps even broader, this existence, our whole being, you could say. And that word, vijasati, will conquer. It's not about domination or fighting. It's about knowing. Knowing through your own wisdom, penetrating the truth of it, fully realizing it. So the real question the Buddha is posing is, who among us will truly deeply understand this body, this existence that we are actually living? It's a call for profound self-awareness, not just the physical shell, but the whole experience of being alive.
That completely changes the game, doesn't it? So, okay, if this earth is our own existence, what about this realm of Yama? What's that referring to? That also needs to be conquered.
That's another crucial piece. The text defines the realm of Yama pretty specifically. It means the 4 kinds of miserable states, or sometimes called woeful states. Now, these aren't necessarily literal hell dimensions in this context. It's broader. Think of them as representing states of being marked by suffering, by regret, by the negative results of unskillful actions. Kind of like the cycles of distress or hardship we can get caught in. the bad ground of our inner life, maybe. And then he adds, along with the devas, this bit, imasa devaka, refers to the human world and the heavenly realms, the deva worlds. So if you put it all together, the whole question becomes something like, who will truly understand and gain mastery over their own existence, their own body-mind, and also understand the nature of suffering states and the entire range of experience from human to divine? It's about kind of conquering your whole reality, internal and external, through understanding.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a huge scope. Which leads perfectly into the last part of that question verse. Who, like a skillful flower picker, will gather the well-taught Dhammapada? What exactly is this Dhammapada that's well-taught? And why this image of a flower picker?
Right. The well-taught Dhammapada, according to the source, refers specifically to the 37 factors of enlightenment, or bodhipakkhiya. Now, these aren't just some random list of virtues. This is considered the complete roadmap, the entire toolkit, really, for inner liberation. It includes core practices and qualities like mindfulness, energy, investigation, joy, concentration, wisdom, the essentials. These are the things you need to cultivate if you genuinely want to see reality as it is. And that analogy, the skillful flower picker, kusalo pufamiva pachasati, well, it's just beautiful, isn't it? It illustrates how you approach gaining this understanding. Think about a skilled garland maker, maybe, going into a garden. They don't just grab any old flower. They carefully avoid the ones that are just tiny buds or maybe eaten by worms or wilted or tangled up. They selectively choose only the beautiful, fresh, well-formed blossoms. In the same way, the sekha, this practitioner, uses wisdom. That's the key. Wisdom to gather, to examine, to really penetrate and realize these profound teachings, the factors of enlightenment. It's all about discernment. Picking out the pristine truths, the wholesome qualities, from everything else that might be less helpful or even flawed. Separating the wheat from the chaff, you might say, on the path.
Okay, right. Discerning the truly valuable. And this brings us to the answer verse, where it gets really interesting. The one who does all this conquering and skillful picking is the sekha. So who is this sekha? What does that term actually mean for someone on the path?
Yeah, the sekha is crucial here. It's not just someone passively learning theory, not at all. A sekha is someone who is actively practicing, actively transforming themselves. The text defines a sekha, literally, one in training, as someone diligently cultivating the three core trainings, the tiso-sikha. These are higher morality, the siyalo-sikha, which is way beyond just rules. It's about developing a deep ethical integrity that purifies your actions. Then there's higher consciousness or concentration, at the hisatasika, deepening your focus, your mental clarity, often through meditation. And finally, higher wisdom, at the kainyasika, which is gaining that direct intuitive insight into the real nature of things. And this category, sekha, it actually covers a range of practitioners. It includes people from the very first stage of profound spiritual breakthrough, like a stream enter, Sotapapana, all the way up to those who are right on the verge of achieving full enlightenment, those on the path to arahantship, the Hatamaga. It's a sevenfold group, the text says. So this sekha, this dedicated trainee, is the one who conquers this body, their inner earth. And how? Specifically, the commentary mentions, by removing desire and clinging, chandraga, that's key. They are the ones who truly come to know, to penetrate, to realize the nature of those suffering states, the realm of yama, and the human and deva worlds too. Why? Because they are actively working with the teachings and their own direct experience. They're doing the inner cultivation.
Got it. So the sikha is the active cultivator, the discerning flower picker. And that flower picker analogy, well, let's just quickly revisit that. It's so vivid.
It really is. So just like that careful garland maker avoids the damaged or undeveloped flowers, choosing only the perfect, vibrant ones to make something beautiful, in exactly the same way, the sekha, the trainee, uses their developing wisdom to pick out, to gather, examine, and truly realize the well-taught Dhammapada, those 37 factors of enlightenment. It's about skillfully selecting and cultivating what is truly pure and beneficial for awakening, and leaving aside what isn't. It's an active discerning process.
Right. And so the Buddha, having posed this incredibly deep question about conquering inner and outer worlds,
Right.
he then answers it himself, pointing to the dedicated practitioner, the sekha, bringing the whole teaching together.
And the result. What happened to those 500 monks who started out just talking about roads and soil? The result was, well, quite staggering, according to the text. At the end of this discourse, this profound shift from outer to inner earth, all 500 of those monks attained arahantship, full liberation, freedom from the cycle of suffering. And not just that, they also gained paisamvida, deep analytical knowledge. So it shows the incredible transformative potential when this teaching is truly heard and, more importantly, applied. And the source also makes a point of saying that the entire assembly present, not just the monks, benefited from the teaching, which really highlights its universal relevance, wouldn't you say? This isn't just some obscure monastic instruction.
Absolutely. A powerful outcome. So let's bring this home. What does this ancient story, starting with, just monks chatting about dirt roads,
Yeah.
what does it really mean for you listening right now? It feels like a timeless lesson, far beyond its original context.
I think it really is. It invites us, doesn't it, to look at our own daily earth talk. The mundane things, the external circumstances, the surfaces of life that we tend to focus on so much. And it poses that fundamental question back to us. Are we getting lost in the details of the outer earth of our lives? The surface appearances, the temporary conditions? Or are we actively, consciously cultivating our inner earth? Our minds, our hearts, our intentions, our ethical grounding, our wisdom.
Yeah. It really makes you pause and think about where your focus truly lies. What inner earth are you cultivating today? What ground are you preparing within yourself? And maybe what unblemished flowers of wisdom, those factors of enlightenment, are you striving to skillfully pick in your own journey of understanding? Definitely something to reflect on until our next deep dive.